What were these men doing when this occurred?
We assume that the men that are missing are on their regular job. 4 men were in a pack building. 1 man was a locomotive operator.
What would they be doing in the pack building, for those who don't understand?
Paper cartridges with the mixed powder.
The dynamite cartridges?
That's right.
Does your company consider them officially as missing, or do you actually feel that they are dead?
Officially as missing.
At what point will you list them as dead?
After we have assured ourselves they're not any place in the area.
But you have had no...
It's remotely possible that they could have gotten off the plant, but we think we would have heard from their home that they were off.
And the families have been notified?
The families have been notified that they are missing.
How many men actually got out of there? How many men were in there?
35 or 40 men probably on that line, on the Gelton line.
At the time it went up?
At the time, right.
How many men are totally employed on this area?
Over 200.
How many were within the immediate area when the explosions occurred?
Probably the men, you would consider the men on the Gelton line, which would be 35 to 40.
I was retracing my steps back to this building which you are mentioning. I don't know how far I was from the building, but I must have been near it because I was evidently picked up and shaken around. I didn't hear any noise. I knew nothing. I don't know how long I may have been dazed or out, but I finally picked myself up and could feel I was quite bloody, and I didn't even have any bottom pants on. So since I couldn't see, I knew the general direction in which way to go, and I followed up this incline to the next buildings. No, I could not see at any time.
And then where did you go after you got up over the incline?
I kept walking, and I knew this dirt road which way it would lead me, and Mr. David Kelly finally came along and picked me up.
Did you see the first explosion?
I saw nothing. I heard nothing.
You didn't even hear the second and third explosion?
No, I didn't hear anything at any time. So I evidently must have been unconscious at that time and not even heard the first explosion. I cannot explain it.
You have hundreds of cuts and bruises on you that are visible to me, and what other injuries did you sustain that you know of?
Well, just bad lacerations and cuts, the head and the neck, and all around the body in general. But fortunately, I don't seem to have any bones broken, and I'm very fortunate for that.
When you were picking yourself up, were you able to determine how severely injured you were at that time?
Well, I felt with the back of my hand to my face since I couldn't see, and felt that my left eye was semi-out, and my other eye was all bloodshot. I couldn't see at any time, so I just felt my way on up in the general direction where I'm used to going.
Mostly by instinct?
Instinct and feeling down for the rail and like that until I came to the dirt road.
Now, Mr. Berry, how long have you been in this type of work?
Oh, it's approximately 30 years.
And do you have plans of giving this up, or will you be going back to work when you get out of the hospital?
No, I plan on resuming my work.
This type of thing does not upset you to the point where you would look for employment elsewhere?
No, sir.
You like your job?
Yes, sir.
And this type of thing doesn't scare you at all, the fact of having to go back and go to work in a similar job?
No, this is one of the occupational hazards of any job that anyone does.
Are you going to go back to work when you get out of the hospital?
Well, I'm thinking about it seriously. I don't know for sure. I'll have to think it over a little more.
Possibility you might find another line of work?
Well, it's hard to tell. At my age, I have a hard time getting a job.
you identify those men at this time?
Eugene Rudisill,
Could you give us their age, sir?
age 45. Gerald Wingard, age 30. Donald Schenkner, age 38. Wilbur Robinson, age 49. Clarence Claypool, age 63.
What is being done about these 5 missing men?
We have looked over the immediate area and have found no trace.
Could you tell us approximately how this started?
We have no idea of how it started. We are continuing our investigation, and there will be a thorough investigation made.
Are all these men from Newcastle?
Newcastle or the immediate vicinity. Actually, one man's address is RD1 Pulaski.
Have you been able to arrive at a damage figure yet, or even something close to one?
No, we haven't.
Would you guess that it would be over $100,000?
I would rather not answer that at this point.
Will the search continue all night for these men? What?
We will look in the immediate area.
What
Now, we are going to let you fellows down. We think it's safe to go in and take a picture. We want you in there a very short time, just enough time to get your pictures, and then get out.
Can you describe what happened after that first blast? What did you do then?
Well, we got what men was in the building out, started to the safe area. I stopped in her office to check on my boss. He was cut and laying on the floor when the second and third shot went off.
Did that second or third blast do you any harm?
No, I don't think, except knock us around.
What happened to you in the first blast?
Well, the windows came in, the doors, everything was flying around. Something hit me across the chest and the Adam's apple.
This was what led to people thinking you had had a heart attack that day, right?
Yes, later on, about a couple hours after, it started swelling and shut my breathing off.
To the hospital, and people at that time thought you had a heart attack, but as it turned out, you were just received injuries in the first blast.
Yeah, nobody would believe it to even take time to look because they thought the way I was breathing, it was on my heart, but it wasn't.
One of the more fortunate ones, you're going home today, right?
Yes, sir, pretty soon.
How soon?
About 2 hours.
You looking forward to it?
Yes, sir.
Your wife and family?
Just by myself.
By yourself. Have you ever thought about giving up this type of work?
Oh, no.
You're going to stay with it?
Sure, it's not any worse than driving truck or anything else.
How many similar experiences have you had?
2.
This is your second,
This is the 3rd we've had. 2 I've been in.
and you'll be going back to work when?
As soon as I come back from a week's vacation.
Chester, where were you working at the time of the first explosion?
In building 361, the Jelly Stuffer.
Is that a building near where the first explosion was?
Yes, it was right next to it.
What happened? Do you remember?
I didn't remember nothing. All I heard was the building caved in. I didn't hear no explosion or nothing.
Then what'd you do?
I tried to get out through the building, and the building was on top of me. And I looked out through the wall. There was a hole there, and I crawled through it, and then I run. Well, I come out of the building where I was trapped, and I seen a dinky sitting there, and there was a fellow laying down alongside the dinky. I don't know who he was. He was unconscious, I believe. And I took up over the hill, and that's when the building I was in, it shot.
And then how'd you get to the hospital?
Well, there's Loyal Smith, Harry Smith was up in the woods there, and we went over and crawled through the fence, and the hole in the fence was a big hole in the fence. He took us down along the fence line, crawled through another hole down there, and we got down to the bottom of the American Cyanamid Company in the back. First ambulance took us in.
We searched the complete area yesterday with the aid of approximately 23, 24 of the company's men and myself and a deputy. We uncovered a considerable amount of human remains, which was taken to the Jamison Hospital here in Newcastle, and the pathologist has aided us in attempting to identify it.
How many have you been able to identify?
We have been able to identify some tissue from the majority of the victims.
How far away from the blast scene did you find this tissue?
Up to 150 yards, approximately, in a circular area.
So death then was instantaneous.
Oh, without any doubt.
Satisfied that there are 5 deaths, and will your office issue death certificates for all 5 men, even though they are not identifiable by tissue that was recovered at the scene, to avoid any possible future legal problems?
Yes, we will. We will issue death certificates for all 5.
There's no doubt in your mind that there were 5 people killed.
No. 4 of them together in one building, and the operator of the dinky car who was in the other building, the mix house.
Now, is your investigation finished, or do you have more work, and if so, what type of work will you continue on this case?
Well, I'll be, of course, in contact with the investigation which is made by the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. I'll also be in contact with the company officials and with the Pennsylvania State Police, all who are attempting to learn just what happened.